All right, old school NBA fans, self-researched NBA facts. Got another video for you. As always, thanks to anybody who watches my videos, subscribes to my channel. I really appreciate it. Yesterday's video was kind of funny. It was just hardcore facts and information. And then here comes the, people tearing down Michael Jordan. His era was trash. The same old stuff I've heard a million times. And again, there's no era that's that weak. There are some that are weaker than others. But the only ones that were truly weak was maybe the 70s because of the ABA. That's one possibility there. And then I would say in the mid-2010s, the league seemed to be kind of weak then too, just based on some of the players that were winning, MVPs and, defensive players of the year and the all-defense and all that kind of stuff and all-NBA. Just not really the level that I was used to. One year, Joakim Noah made first team All-NBA at center, and I was just like, wow, that would never have flied back in the 80s or the 90s, not even close. And not that Noah was like a bad player or anything, but come on. You had, what center do you want to choose? You had so many. Alonzo Mourning, which was one of my favorite players. I just admired how tough he played and all that. Well, he won Defensive Player of the Year in 99 and 2000. I think it was 99. He was second for MVP. He was first team All-NBA, and that's with prime Shaq. But anyway, he could make All-NBA first, second, or third team all through the 90s. And this is a guy who started out his career as a 20-10 guy immediately. But when you have David Robinson, Hakeem Olajuwon, Dikembe Mutombo, and Shaq in front of you, then, and Patrick Ewing too, then, yeah, he never had a chance to make it. Not until Ewing and Olajuwon had aged out, and then Mutombo and Robinson had slowed down. Then Mourning was able to make All-NBAs and whatnot. But so I just always find that funny. It's like, to me, that's evidence right there that the 90s wasn't quite as weak as what everybody says. But anyway, in this video here, kind of a different one. What this video is, I'm pursuing what was the key acquisition in NBA history, in light of the big trade that happened, that it's just, hogged all the attention for the NBA and everything. What was the greatest acquisition ever? Now there's several to choose from, and I do not know the answer to that. This is totally opinion based. I don't know. There's so many to choose from. Okay. Here's the ones that I came up with. And I'm sure there's some that, what about this guy? What about that? I'm sure, Robert Parrish going to Boston. That was actually a big acquisition. Or Dennis Johnson going to Boston. They won one championship in the first 4 years under Larry Bird, and they're winning 60 games basically every year. But when they got Dennis Johnson, they immediately win 2 out of 3 championships, 84 and 86, including, the best home team of all time in 1986. They were legit. One of the best teams of all time was Boston between 84 and 86. That 3-year stretch, they're about as good as any team who's ever played. There's a bunch of them, really. But here's the ones that I thought were the most impactful to the team, the city, the franchise, all that kind of thing, because they won either right away or, a few years down the road, multiple championships. But anyway, I'll get into it. The first one, since there was not any free agency movements in the 60s and in the 70s, that just didn't exist. So you had to be traded. Well, Wilt Chamberlain got traded from the Warriors. They were the Philadelphia Warriors. They moved to San Francisco. He wanted to go back to Philly, forced to trade, but whatever. So he goes back to Philly in 1964-65, but he's not on the Warriors. He's on the 76ers franchise now. In the middle of the 64-65 season. So in 1966 would have been the first full year that Wilt was on the team. In the second full year, in 1967, they win the championship with the 68-13 record. And that was the first championship in 11 seasons for the city of Philadelphia. They won a championship in 1956. The Philadelphia Warriors did. But obviously, if you're from that city, you don't care about Warriors, 76ers, whatever. It's a Philadelphia team. And for the franchise, I believe it was Syracuse who became the 76ers. And if I'm right about that, so I'm pretty sure that's right, the Syracuse won the championship in 1955. So it would have been 12 years since the franchise last won a championship. So either way, Wilt Chamberlain goes to the 76ers and obviously had a huge impact. Did you know in the 1965 season, now the team had Wilt for, I can't remember how many games it was, but they finished as a 40-40 team. But they took Boston to 7 games in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they were down by 1 point with the ball. But John Havlicek made, that famous steal. Havlicek stole the ball. Havlicek stole the ball. And anyway, they had a chance to beat Boston. It just didn't happen. And that's why I always try to tell everybody who thinks Boston was just so much better. They weren't. I'm telling you, they weren't. They were the best team. Say the first half of Russell's career, they were definitely the best team in the NBA. No doubt about it. But I would say from that year, 65 through 69, those 5 years, they weren't. They were beatable. No question. They were definitely beatable. They just didn't lose. Except for in 67, the only year that Bill Russell played every game that he lost. And that was in the 67 East Finals in 5 games. But this right here, 68-13, is the 5th best regular season of all time. So I would say that was a very impactful trade for the 76ers, no doubt about it. The next one, Wilt Chamberlain again, but he got traded to the Lakers this time. And that was in the 68-69 season. Now, they got to the finals, 7th game of the finals. They lost, though. They had a 3-2 lead, and they lost. I mean, it was pretty insane, honestly. And then in 1970, they're playing the Knicks. They got beat in the finals there, too. In 71, I think Jerry West was hurt. So that killed their chances right there. But in 72, the Lakers win the championship, 69-13 record, which is one of the 4 best regular seasons of all time. And they have the biggest win differential in NBA history, the 72 Lakers. So Wilt went historic on both these 2 championships for sure. But that's it for Wilt. Just those 2. That's all he's got. But anyway, you would have to say it was very impactful. They got a championship out of it, yada, yada, yada. The next one that was definitely impactful was Oscar Robertson goes to Milwaukee in the 1970-71 season. They win it immediately that year. And they have a 66-16 record. So that is really good. And I think they were the second best win differential of all time. They were awesome. In 72, they were basically the exact same team in every way with one difference. The Lakers were in their way. I want to say they were 4-1 against the Lakers in 71, but 1-4 against them in 72. So that's where the 3 wins came from. The 3-win difference, literally, they won 63 games, Milwaukee did, in 72. They won 3 less games, literally because of the Lakers beat them 3 more times than the year before. But they were win differential, win total, all of it. They were literally the same team. It's just that the Lakers, were one of the best teams of all time, no question. And then in 73, the Bucks got upset by Golden State, which by Milwaukee was like a 60-win team, and Golden State was like a 47-win team. So that was not a great look. But in 74, Oscar Robertson's last season, they got to Game 7 of the finals at home, but lost. And again, to me, that one game, if Oscar Robertson could have won that, I would have put him squarely in there with Jerry West and Dr. J. I mean, absolutely. He would have been, 12, 13, 14, somewhere in there. I think I got him at number 16 right now. But he absolutely would have been up around there had he won just that one game. All right, Kareem, the best player in the NBA, bar none. Was he the best player in the world? Maybe. It was either him or Dr. J. Hard to say at that time. It really was. Dr. J was dominating the ABA, winning MVPs and championships literally every year. But Kareem was winning the MVPs and stuff. Some of them, he won one on a 42-40 team, which was ridiculous. But Kareem going to LA in 75-76. Now, they didn't have a bunch of great teammates because they traded so much to get Kareem. They gave, all their young promising players away to Milwaukee. But they did still have Gail Goodrich, who was critical in the 72 championship. And they had like Kermit Washington. I think Cazzie Russell was on that team. Lucius Allen, who somebody got into a big argument about with me about the 1977 Lakers. Lucius Allen was injured or something. Oh, Jerry West said in an interview because Lucius Allen went down, that's why we got swept. Well, I'm thinking, well, you had basically that same team in 76, and it didn't amount to much at all. They didn't make the playoffs. But anyway, Kareem going to the Lakers, it impacted the franchise as far as just not being, 25-win team anymore. They were now around 500, 45, 47 wins, that kind of thing. Sure, he definitely helped them in that regard. But they never won a single game in the Western Conference Finals in the 4 years that Kareem was on the Lakers before Magic. That matters, believe me. So not until 1980 did Kareem win a championship with the Lakers, and that wasn't until Magic got there. But he did help win 5 championships, and that can't be understated enough. Now, he was not the best player in 2 of them, for sure. The other ones you can debate, but he definitely was a huge driving force to why they won at least the first 3 of those 5. All right, this one here, to me, may be the most impactful, possibly. Moses Malone won the MVP in 1982. He's on Houston. Philadelphia is a 58-win team, so they're very good. They get to the finals in 82 and lose in 6 to the Lakers. They get Moses, and they just go super team on everybody. They won the championship, and I think their final record was... I want to say it was 12-1 because they didn't play in the first round because they had a bye. But they went 65-17, 12-1 in the playoffs, which was incredible. But that team in 83, I felt, is one of the best teams of all time. And I think they would match up with any team in NBA history. Whatever you got, they got the answer. You got a big, they got a big. You got a wing, they definitely got a wing. They got a very solid backcourt, and Maurice Cheeks and Andrew Toney. And then you need somebody to just be a straight-up defender. Well, how about the guy nicknamed the Secretary of Defense, Bobby Jones? So that was a very impactful trade. They won the championship right away, swept the Lakers. The Lakers, defending champs, they swept them. James Worthy was injured, though. Would it have made a difference? I doubt it. Maybe they get a game if Worthy's in there, but he was only a rookie. I doubt it. But to me, Moses Malone was a huge, impactful trade. Oscar was too, but he wasn't the best player. It was obviously Kareem. You know what I mean? Like, they had already been to the Eastern Conference Finals. They got whooped on by the Knicks the year before, like pretty bad in some of those games. So Oscar definitely, brought that missing piece for them to reach the championship. Sure. But all in all, I would say the Moses one is the most impactful, even though Wilt in Philly and LA, yeah, but it took years later, and not till Philly got Billy Cunningham, another top 75 player to go with, Hal Greer and another Hall of Famer in Chet Walker, and the same thing with when Wilt was on the Lakers. They already had Elgin Baylor and Jerry West. I mean, the best duo in the 60s, no doubt about it. And it took Wilt in his 4th season, the Lakers, to win the championship. So, yeah, eventually, sure, but not right away. Same with Kareem. Not till his 5th year did he win a championship, and not until Magic got there. So I'm just saying. And the same thing with Wilt, not till Gail Goodrich got there. There's other pieces to this, not just the one player. In Moses Malone's case, it was just Moses. They traded Caldwell Jones and I think some draft picks, who was their center, for Moses Malone. And immediately, the best team in the NBA won the championship, damn near swept the playoffs, swept the Lakers in the finals. They just crushed everybody. One of the best teams of all time. Top 10 easily. All right, the next player who had a big impact was Charles Barkley. Now, Phoenix, they were a good team before Barkley got there. That's what people who want to talk about Jordan's competition, they're just stupid. They're just stupid individuals who must have never seen these games. Because Phoenix was 53-29 just the year before, okay? So Barkley comes in, yeah, they improved by 9 wins, but they're already a top 4 or 5 team in the West for sure. Then they get Barkley, he wins the MVP, and they're in the finals. And if it wasn't for a John Paxson, heroic 3-pointer in Game 6, who knows what would happen in Game 7. But Barkley definitely was an impactful trade. Clyde Drexler to Houston in the 94-95 season at the trade deadline. He played like 30-some games. They didn't click that well in the regular season. They actually had a better winning percentage without Drexler. But in the playoffs, it was a different story. He was absolutely needed to complete that back-to-back, Clyde Drexler. So it was a very impactful trade, no doubt about it. I wouldn't say it was impactful as Moses Malone, but it was definitely impactful for sure. Shaquille O'Neal going to the Lakers in 96-97. Now, they were 53-29 the year before, but they had Magic, 36-year-old Magic came back and played about 35 games or something. But with Shaq replacing Magic, essentially, they became a 56-win team. So they were, a little better. But they couldn't do anything until Kobe came of age. When they acquired Glenn Rice in 99, that was the first piece. But they still needed Kobe to get to that next level. He was already an all-star, and he was third-team All-NBA in 1999. But they needed him to go one step farther even, and he did. In 2000, 01, 02, they won a three-peat. One of 3 in the last, 55 years. So that obviously was a very impactful trade, but it wasn't just because of Shaq. Now, when I say acquisitions and trades, I'm not talking about draft day trades like, oh, what about Kobe from the Hornets? Yeah, I know. Obviously, that was big and impactful, but that basically, Kobe never played for the Hornets, though. So I'm talking about an acquisition through either a trade or free agent signing. Somebody who has a little bit of tenure, not an 18-year-old on draft day. That doesn't count. And then another one was Shaq to Miami. He comes in the 04-05 season. They win like 59 games, improved them a lot. They were 42-40 the year before without Shaq. He comes in. Now they traded like, I want to say it was like Brian Grant, Caron Butler, I think Lamar Odom for Shaq. Obviously a lopsided trade. They went from 42 to 59 wins. And then the next year in 06, they won the championship. But, and it was also the first Miami championship ever. So that is impactful and very meaningful. However, there was other players who came over too, like Gary Payton, like Jason Williams, like Alonzo Mourning and Antoine Walker. So it's hard to really say it was all Shaq. I mean, Alonzo Mourning was backing up Shaq. He still finished like top 12 in Defensive Player of the Year in 06. So it was more like it was definitely a collective effort, but it was Dwayne Wade who was driving that train in 06. No question about it. All right. Kevin Garnett with Ray Allen to Boston in 07-08 season. Now, obviously, immediately they win the championship in 08. Their first championship since 1986. That's 22 years. That's big. That's impactful, no doubt. But this was a 2-player deal, not just one. And they did reach the finals in 2010 as well. So they absolutely, it was an absolutely great trade to make. Like, hey, we'll get you a championship and get you into Game 7 of the finals 2 years after that. What team wouldn't sign up for that? Yeah, sign me up for that. So it was absolutely impactful. But it wasn't a 1-player. It was more of a 2-player. Pau Gasol to the Lakers in 2008. That was mid-season, and they made the finals in that year, got to Game 6 of it. The next year and the year after, they go back-to-back in 2009 and 2010. Very impactful trade. Obviously, Kobe was the best player, the driving force, no doubt about it. But anybody who wants to undersell the importance of Pau Gasol, you're being ridiculous. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like I've said in many videos, no star, no superstar has ever won more than one championship in a short amount of time, say like 3 or 4 years or whatever, without another second star player. Most of them, even 1 years. But you could find like a Kawhi Leonard in 2019 and Hakeem in 94, sure. But that's about it. There's not very many that happened like that. There was, some collective ones like Detroit in 04. It was Ben Wallace, and it was Chauncey Billups, and it was Rasheed Wallace and Richard Hamilton. And then like the 79 Supersonics, they had Lonnie Shelton, Downtown Freddie Brown, Dennis Johnson, Jack Sikma, Gus Williams. I mean, they had a good squad. You know what I mean? Wasn't really driven by one star. It was kind of a collective kind of thing. But they all got just one championship. To get more, it requires a second star. That's what history tells us. All right. LeBron James going to Miami. Now, obviously, that made shockwaves in the NBA world because Chris Bosh had already signed with Miami, and then LeBron signs. So it was really, you're getting two players. So anything LeBron did to improve Miami went from, people seem to forget, they weren't exactly bums before they got there. And they weren't making deep playoff runs. But in 2009 and 2010, Miami was a 47-35 team. They're not garbage. You know what I mean? They're like the 4 or 5 seed or whatever. Chris Bosh is going to put you, you're going to be over 50 wins, no doubt, just getting Bosh, probably getting to the East Finals. But adding LeBron with it, well, you're now the favorite, no question about it. And, they didn't win it in 2011. I won't dwell on that. But they did win a back-to-back in 12 and 13. But again, this was not a single player. So it was like a double acquisition kind of thing. The next one, LeBron, but again, another one with Kevin Love. And there were other players too, like J.R. Smith and Iman Shumpert and Channing Frye. May not seem like super impactful, but you add them up enough and you got something there. But in 2015, they got to the finals. They won it in 2016. I know there were circumstances around that championship, but they did win it. And so anyway, yeah, I mean, it was impactful, I guess, signing LeBron, all that, but it was with Kevin Love and a bunch of role players as well. It wasn't just LeBron James. So again, I don't think that is a, impactful acquisition because of, coming on with Love, coming on with Bosh, like KG with Ray Allen. It's a multiple acquisition, and I'm just talking about a single acquisition. All right, Kevin Durant going to Golden State in the 2016-17. Immediately they go back-to-back, and who knows, maybe they would have won a third in a row had Durant been healthy in 2019. We'll never know for sure, but obviously that was a huge, impactful trade. But Golden State had already won the championship in 2015 without him and was one win away, probably, three-pointer away from winning it again in 2016. But still, you got to say it was very impactful, going back-to-back, 2017, they appeared to be unbeatable. I think they went 16-1. However, we did see that, San Antonio could have beaten them. They beat them 2 out of 3 in the regular season in 2017, and they were beating their doors off in the third quarter of Game 1 until Kawhi Leonard got hurt. We're never going to know. No one's ever going to be able to prove it either way. But I always said San Antonio is at least making that series go 6 games, if not 7, if not even possibly San Antonio winning that thing. But we'll never know. It's just all going to be opinion and guesses. So no need to talk about it. Kawhi Leonard going to Toronto in 2019. They gave up DeMar DeRozan, yada, yada. But they immediately win the championship in 2019. I would say yes, very impactful trade. No doubt about it. This one here is definitely got to be in the running. And then the last one is Anthony Davis going to the Lakers in the 2019-2020 season. They won it immediately in 2020, Now, granted, they've only won 2 playoff series in the last 4 years since then, but that was an impactful. It was a trade, yeah. It was a very impactful trade, no doubt about it. It was. They immediately won a championship, and LeBron and AD were like co-best players. But the acquisition of AD is what put them over the top. The year before, I mean, they were not great at all. And I know LeBron missed some games, but they were 37 and 45, before Anthony Davis got there. So he improved them dramatically. Okay, so for me, the ones that I think are the truly most impactful acquisitions in NBA history, I got to go with Moses Malone, just because of how great they were. I would say, Drexler was too. It's just after that, I don't know that I would put it in the class of like a Moses Malone. I mean, that was just huge. All of these are impactful, no doubt, but what was the most impactful that just made the team going from like good to like legendary, like Moses Malone did? Miami, but there was other players who came with him. Pau Gasol, it was basically just Pau Gasol. That's it. So I would say even that one, I would have to say Pau Gasol was one of the most impactful. They won back-to-back. In the first full season Pau Gasol's on the Lakers, they win it, and then they win it again. It's got to be impactful. Then I would say probably KD going to the Warriors, I guess. I don't know. You guys let me know. I think out of these 4, it's close. Kawhi Leonard to Toronto, and then he was gone the next year. I think he went to the Clippers. So as far as like long-term or even, mid-term, Kawhi Leonard would not be it. Kevin Durant hung around for 3 years, but he wasn't healthy for the 2019 finals, but they did win 2 championships, so it was very impactful, but they were already a championship level team. That one's tough for me. So I would say Pau Gasol, the Lakers, or Moses Malone, and I'm leaning towards Moses Malone, I think might have been the most impactful, but every one of them was. You can make an argument for every one of these. So anyway, if you guys want to let me know in the comments, what was the most impactful acquisition in NBA history? I'm dying to know. Let me know what you think. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, please hit the like button. I would very much appreciate that. It would help me out. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. I try to give daily content, and I'm very active in the comments and that kind of thing. And that's it. Until next time.